Speed is right back behind the goal. He's Weist. Weist done it.
Having Buzzini as well. O'Neill and Loud up the way. Rangers look for a goal. What's the fire? Oh, it's brilliant! Scoots it back, John Lundstrom. 3-0 Rangers. This cross is a good one. That hits Libra.
Hello folks, welcome back to We Are The Podcast. Apologies, I'll say first off, we missed the preview for the Roma game. That was my own fault. I was absolutely knackered last night, to be quite honest, and I didn't face recording and editing and all that before we posted the podcast, so I'll take that one. We are without William, as you'll notice this week. He is on his way back from New York, so safe travels and all that sort. It's just myself and Stevie. You need to put up with the night on this dismal night. We'll try and not keep you too long after what we've all just watched. So, Stevie, let's just start with the game then. Thoughts?
Yeah, it was pretty poor, wasn't it? It was a bit of a kind of training exercise for Roma at the end of the day, and they never really seemed like they got into top gear, and we just seemed pretty flat for the start.
Aye, pretty much. I think another game where we haven't started well, let's be honest. How many times has that happened this season? We've had umpteen games where we have the first half is poor, and then they play a wee bit better in the second half, and then, as I said to you during the game, mate, we go a wee bit of, well, we've been better this half. It's not good enough turning up for half an hour for half a game of football.
No, and we did kind of, I know we'll kind of jump ahead a wee bit, but we did kind of start the second half a wee bit brighter, but it still wasn't anywhere near what you need at that level, you know, and that's even with Roma missing bodies as well. You know, it was always going to be a tough game, but it's just kind of, you can't be letting teams like that score the goals that they did. I mean, the first goal, I don't know what one was worse. They were both as bad as each other, the goals, from a defensive point of view. Absolutely shocking to lose.
Mate, that first one, it's again another set piece where we don't defend at all. We don't cover the posts at all. I said again in the chat, how many goals are we going to concede for set pieces before we just hire somebody to set us up properly? Because that's umpteen goals in the last two managers now, which coming for the set pieces, and it's just schoolboy stuff.
That first goal was the type of goal that we used to score when we had Joe Aribo running to the front post and knocking it on for somebody to tap in. Morelos done it away to Dortmund. Aribo flicked on. Morelos tapped into an empty net at the back post, and it was just a case of Jigger completely switches off, doesn't track the man, and he's just basically got a tap in after the knock on for the header.
They've had 2 free headers in the box for a corner.
Yeah.
And I'll not even get started on what I said to you as well about our corners. So we've got to have a corner at some point. I can't remember exactly when it was in the game. It was the first half, sorry. And we've got all the guys back loaded at the back post, and Tav puts the ball in. It doesn't even clear the first defender.
Aye, that's not the first time that's happened. I think just before we got our first corner in the first half, McCloist and Rory Hamilton touched on it in comms that we are very small compared to Roma.
Yeah,
so why are we taking
talking
the
about it
corner
just
and
before
trying
they
to
scored as well.
Yeah, and try to lump across into the box when they've got the height advantage in all areas. I know Raskin's good in the air, but you know, it counts for nothing when you can't beat the first man for the corner.
So once again, we start the game poorly. We can see the goal for a set piece. We don't really get any better. Roma had another couple of chances. Second goal comes from John Suter just not even stepping off his man for some reason. No idea why. I'll be honest with you, and I'll keep banging the drum. That's every single podcast, I think, at this point. John Suter has cost us umpteen goals this season, and he never gets dropped, ever.
Mm-hmm.
He just plays every game, and he's constantly conceding goals. Now, I said to you guys before the game as well that I'd have been happy for Giga to get dropped for this game as well, because I don't think he played well on the weekend. But I don't know how many times John Souttar has to make mistakes before we'll actually drop him. I honestly don't.
No, and I think the worrying thing there is I know Tav played centre back the night as well, but I think the worrying thing is his centre backs go. John Souttar's our most experienced one, and it's pretty bad when you consider that. Like I say, I don't count Tav in that because he's normally a right back, although he has played centre back for us quite a lot over the last kind of few months. But it's worrying times, and we've touched on the back four before, where we are potentially looking at a whole new back four come next season. And in that case, you have to start bringing them in January. You can't wait to the summer, to try and bed all these guys in. I'm the same as you. I would not have played Jigga after his performance on Sunday. It was terrible. I think Cornelius is all right. I don't know. I don't know whether he had a knock or whatever. I know he kind of went down towards the end of the semi-final, so I don't know whether he was maybe carrying a knock and they thought he couldn't last or whatever. But I mean, if that's the case, you just put him in and get as long out of him as you can. You know,
Aye.
you can't be. Jacob was a bag of nerves on Sunday. Didn't he cover his selling glory the night for the first goal and shoot as you say
No,
for
it
the
wasn't
second
great.
goal? It's just a total comedy of errors. It's not even so much that he loses the man, and then is it Dovbyk who was holding the ball up? He seems to hold the ball for an age just to let the boy run onto it so he can play the pass, and there's nobody tracking the runner. Schoolboy stuff, absolute
Aye.
schoolboy
As
stuff.
a defender, if I'm if I'm remembering correctly, coming in to slot the ball in the bottom corner, like that's
Yeah.
how all
Mhm.
the other place we are at the back. The problem comes back for me is our defence is very thin in terms of depth as it is,
Mhm.
but the quality we've got isn't even there either. So it's not like we've got a couple of two really solid guys and then the backups are poor. We don't have the solid two. We've
No.
just got a
No.
group of people, of players who aren't good enough. And so when you're rotating them out, you're rotating a defender who's no great for another defender that's no great or no performing well at this point in time.
Yeah, and I would argue that as much as he was injury prone, Balogun was better than any of those
Aye, I would have
defenders
Balogun
that were
in
on the park that
the
night.
game. Aye, 100%. I'd have Balogun on the pitch before I would have any of the two because, quite honest, if we sent I liked Giga at the beginning. I thought big solid defender looks like he just clears his lines, does the dirty
Mhm.
work, does the easy stuff. Thought looked all right. See now, if we sent him back in January, I wouldn't be surprised. The problem we've got
No.
is it's been said umpteen times. Our back line is made up of somebody that's retiring at the end of the season or leaving us anyway, right? I don't think Tav will
Mhm.
stay longer. Suter, who's leaving, and two loan players.
Yeah. I am one of those loan players who cost Wolves £10 million. You know, it's absolutely wild the amount of money these guys are going for when they're clearly not up to it. You know, and at the end of the day, if they were up to it, they wouldn't be playing for us. You know,
Aye.
so it's
No,
no great, mate. There's not like I kind of going into the night. I was thinking, well, we're going to struggle here, but I was feeling a wee bit optimistic. Or maybe we'll raise the game because I did see a lot of good in the second half on Sunday. But as you say, you can't be going, you can't just let a first half pass you by, especially against a team like that, because the game was done.
aye. Punish you.
Even if you kind of got the feeling that if we had a scored early in the second half, they'd have just upped a gear. You know,
Aye,
uh,
exactly. They didn't have to move out of first gear or second gear in order to beat us
no, no,
handedly tonight.
no.
And it could have been three with that one that you said to us in the group chat. How did that even no go in?
The one that's hit his thigh and
It's
hit the bar.
it's hit the crossbar, bounced on the line, and then the goalie's
Aye,
managed to catch it.
it's crazy. It just beggars belief how that never went in. I couldn't believe it when I was watching it because you're watching it expecting the net to bulge, and next thing it hits the bar, and then Barron's kind of stuck a leg out, clear it. I was still kind of half. It wasn't until I seen the replay. I was still kind of half waiting on the ref to go with his watch. No, the balls went over the line, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
it didn't happen. It wasn't until you seen the replay. You're like, it's hit the underside of the bar and came out the way. So. Um, Yeah, we were like, let's be honest, it was 2-0 going on. 4 or 5 if Roma really wanted to. They could see that we weren't going to threaten them. So, there was no reason for them to exert themselves.
No, they didn't. Like you're saying, mate, they didn't have to play well to beat us tonight. And it's as simple as that. They probably did have another couple of levels, like you said, but they didn't have to play well to beat us tonight.
Mm-hmm.
The problem we then go on, and they could have had 3. We play a wee bit better in the second half. Couple of shots. I don't even. I'm loath to talk about Chermiti, to be honest, because I feel as if that's all I've been moaning about all night. To be honest with you, he should never have been near that starting lineup for me after Sunday's performance. The problem is if Sunday was an all-timer, terrible performance for him. To then give him the next game, I think you're just telling him that you can have a stinker and it's all right, son, you'll play the next game anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the thing is, you're saying, I don't want to keep going on about him. The reason we keep going on about him is because he keeps putting in performances like that, and he's not showing signs of getting any better. I mean, he held the ball up a couple of times tonight, but you can see when he gets any kind of sight of goal, it doesn't matter the angle. You can see he's rushing the shot
And he
because
panics,
he's desperate to get a
mate.
shot away.
Absolutely.
Like, mate, just like a decent striker will take a touch, they'll know
He's
when
no
to hit the
composure.
shot. He's hitting everything early. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like he's going. It's like the ball's coming at him and he's going, shit, I better shoot here.
You can argue that first one's unlucky, right?
But you can also argue.
You can also argue though that with the angle, he needs to be hitting the target there.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't far away, but one of the boys in one of our group chats said if that's Danilo or Miovski, the chances of the score, and he probably is right.
It's a bit of composure, aye.
Bit of composure, aye, and then he had one in the second half where he's running in and he hits the side netting, and I'm like, why is he even shooting for that angle? He shouldn't be shooting.
He shouldn't even be shooting. He shouldn't be one. He's running onto the ball, right? It's a decent ball through. He's running onto it. The way the ball's travelling, the angle's getting worse for him, right? What he needs to do is, like you're saying, don't be shooting. He's decided to shoot. He's also decided to shoot on a stretch. And you're never going to get all your weight behind the ball doing that. Even Alan McCoy said it. He's like, he's stretching to shoot. His foot placement's no there at all.
It's funny as well because we moaned last year and the year before about Dessler taking too many touches. This guy doesn't take enough. He just looks to shoot right away instead of going, right, I'll take a touch, I'll set myself. So I think sometimes he doesn't realise he's got as much time as he does. And you're like, just take a touch, set yourself and then hit it, instead of just going, shit, the ball's here, I better shoot. It's so frustrating to watch. But you can't really separate any of the 3 strikers we've got now because none of them are really scoring. I know Danilo's got a couple, but you're kind of... Danilo's one of the ones where he is a good finisher, but he can't be trusted to lead a line. Not with the setup that we play anyway. And with the setup tonight, you really needed Moore and Gassama closer to Chermiti to kind of support him, but we just weren't getting. We don't have that presence, and for a guy of his size, he should be able to hold the ball up and hold defenders off. He just can't do it. For whatever reason, it's just no... I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words with him because he's no... I don't see him going to get any better. Like after that goal against Kilmarnock the other week, I'm thinking, right, okay, he maybe kick on here, and then he has that... How we call it, a sitter against Celtic, the one he put past the post.
I would say arguably 2 sitters, to be honest with you.
And the question I keep asking myself with chances like that is, would Dessers have scored that? Maybe not every time, but he probably would have. So it's just so frustrating because, and again, Alan McCoy and Rory Hamilton mentioned it on commentary. Every player that we've let go has been replaced by somebody who's not as good. And not just not as good, they're nowhere near as good.
And that's what it comes back to, mate. For me, the things, everything we've talked about so far, 15 minutes in, and we've talked about the defence not being good enough, the strikers not being good enough. It all comes back to recruitment. And that kind of leads us on nicely to some of the colourful chants that we'd heard through the game. We seem to have moved one of the popular Russell Martin chants off onto Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell, I heard.
Rightly so.
So, and I see we'll also talk about the banners that were getting hung from some of the terraces where we've got them in target sites for the looks of it. So they were removed. I reckon they were probably removed because of the fact it was a target over their faces instead of the usual
I think that's
stop sign.
that's a bit kind of, as much as I want them out, I think that's a wee bit near the mark, is it no?
I think that's why the
But
sign. Although to be fair, the ones that were hung that were saying, I mean, this will be the argument. I know the argument will be right. The ones that were hung saying this is our life, no a hobby.
Of course, I
They're
completely
covering
agree with them.
advertising boards, and that'll be the excuse as to
Yeah.
why they were removed. It's
Yeah.
because companies are paying for prime advertising and we're not allowed to have their stuff covered up. I get it, right? But the point was made, and I don't know exactly where it was in the stadium. To be honest, I heard it was the Sandy Jardin. I think was one of them.
So that was where the written banners get hung,
which is
Fred,
directly across from the director's box, I believe.
Yeah. But the ones that fell well and Stuart were at the Broomloan Road end and the Copeland Road end. They were at both ends because my mate sent me a picture. He sits on the Broomloan, and he sent a picture for the far end and then right behind him. So they were at both ends by the looks of it. And I think it says it all when the loudest cheer of the night was when Phil Get the Fuck was getting chanted.
And it went. There was 2 rounds it as well. It went and then it stopped for a wee bit, and then it was if you hate Kevin Farewell, clap your hands.
I'm sitting in the living room clapping my hands at the same time, you know.
It's I don't know where we go for here because we're about to lead into January needing to fix a mess that he's put us in, and we're going to allow him to get us out of the mess.
Of course.
It's baffling for me.
I should point out here, for all of this, the person I feel sorry the most for is Danny Rule, because this isn't on him. He can set a team up as much as he likes, but when he's putting a team of shite bags on the park, what's he supposed to do? He can't play a new 11 every week, you know. So it's kind of, I'm willing to give him time, probably more time than I would have gave Russell Martin anyway. I wouldn't even have had Russell Martin in the door.
No.
But definitely willing to give him more time, because you can see signs of like how he wants the team to set up, and that it might just be a case of this group of players aren't capable of playing the way he wants them to play, or I don't know. It's kind of difficult to say, but I'm not. I think the only mistake that I would say he made tonight was starting Germany, which should never have happened. You know, I'd have been happy with either Danilo or Majowski.
I agree with you. Like, you need to cut him some slack. I was critical about him picking Chamiti because I thought if you're going to keep playing somebody is your sole, you're not looking for goals for just your striker, right? But he's meant to be your sole provider of goals. If you're going to pick somebody who doesn't score goals, hasn't scored goals, and has missed quite a lot of chances, then there's an element for me where you kind of deserve what you get from doing that. If he's missing chances, and I'm not saying that there were gilt-edged chances in this game, right? I know they weren't, like Sunday, but again, the more chances the boy misses, the worse his confidence is going to get, which means he's going to play even worse. So, really, there's an argument to be made about taking the boy at the firing line for a few weeks and letting somebody else come in and try and play their way into some form, because it's not working for him.
No, absolutely not. Nah, and you can see it with the way he's playing. He just doesn't look confident at all. You know, he looks a bag of nerves when he gets in front of goal.
It doesn't look as if he knows. It looks like he's playing a wee bit like a schoolboy in the sense that he's running about chasing the ball, but he's not realising where he's supposed to be. There was one point I made where he's run all the way out to the right-hand side to try and jump and win a header. He's nowhere near the ball. So now what's happened is he's missed the header. Connor Barron's no went for it because he's coming over and then he's not in his position.
Yeah.
So it's a wee bit weird.
And even if he does win the header, and it falls to one of our players, he's out of position to be able to then give the midfielder or whoever picks the ball up an option to pass to, because he's nowhere your striker's supposed to be, you know. And you can get away with that when you're playing 2 strikers up front.
Yep, absolutely, mate.
But when you're playing with a lone striker, I know they kind of put it off as, you know, 2 10s playing off him, but, you know, they're not going to be, they're not the type of tens that are going to be bombing forward ahead of the striker, you know, where you would almost like your kind of shadow striker role, you know, that we kind of use on FIFA and stuff like that, where your job is to try and get beyond the striker. So the
Yeah,
striker's got options when they receive the ball, you know. Um, just don't completely at a loss to kind of where do we go with him, because he's useless. I hate to say it. I don't like kind of turning on one of our players, but it's not even so much turning. I just don't
no,
see anything there. He
and it's no
kind of
his.
go, he's raw. He's no raw. He just looks like he's won a competition to play up front for Rangers, you know.
Aye, and
And
it's not his fault we
it's been
spent
a
the money
bloody
on him,
expensive
but
one as well.
it's not.
Which
That's not his fault. But at the
no,
same time,
correct.
even at half that, we said this I think last week. Even at half that, you need to be seeing something more than that.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
we've got a strike
If we're
force that we
spending,
spent. What did we spend? So arguably 8 to 10 million for Chimiti, and then Miovski was what 3 to 4.
3 to 4, Danilo was 6
So you're looking at about
before that.
potentially 11, nearly £20 million and 3 strikers that can't score goals. To a
Yeah,
lesser extent, Danilo, I know he's got a couple of goals in the last couple of weeks, but if you take him out of the equation, you've got an £8 million striker, a £3 million striker, and then the two of them are scoring goals in it.
well, you've got Miovski scored twice for us, Danilo scored twice for us, and Chermiti
Chimiti's got
scored
one.
one. So you've paid 20 million for 5 goals. You know, and when you say it like that, it just makes it sound even worse than it is.
But I heard a wee bit of, while I was setting up the recording, I heard a wee bit of Jack Butland's post match. Don't know if you've seen it.
I didn't see any of the post-match
Um,
stuff, mate.
Usual stuff again. I'm not criticising Jack Butland particularly. Right, probably one of the only players that's been any use this season, but he's given it the whole. Oh, we know what today, and we need to be setting ourselves up better, and all the usual lip service. And then somebody
Mm-hmm.
said, one of the interviewers said to him, "Look, is that it for this campaign? No, we need to believe we can win the usual stuff, right?" Let's look at the realistics of it. We have lost 7 games in a row, and it was 19 goals conceded and 3 scored
Yep.
in 7 games. We are in free fall in Europe now, and it's
Yeah,
Braga next.
and again, they said on commentary, this is a far cry for a team that knocked Fenerbahce and ran Bilbao pretty close, you know, 6 months
Yep.
ago. It's it's a far cry for that team, and it doesn't even like if this was last season and you had those 4 fixtures, you'd be like, all right, okay. Looking at the fixtures, I reckon we can take 9, maybe 10 points out of the opening 4 games. And you wouldn't be daft thinking that, you know, you Genk, Sturm Graz, and Bran, you know, before you get to Roma, and
Aye.
you're thinking, well, they're all easily winnable games and we should be winning them, you know. It's kind of unthinkable that you wouldn't take something for them, but here we are, you know, nothing out of 12, and there's only us and Nice haven't registered a point in the
Yeah.
Europa League this year. And that's for a team that were in the final, what, 3, 4 years ago?
3 years ago, yeah. Yeah.
It's
3, 4,
unforgivable.
aye.
Unforgivable.
And then we're looking at the remaining fixtures now, and we might not win these games, to be honest with you, but you're looking at probably Ferencvaros and Ludogorets as the only ones that we could look at getting points out of.
Yeah, is it Braga next, and then we've still to go to Porto. That should be some laugh.
Aye, it's no good. It's no good. But so let's just quickly. I want to just return the attention onto the statements. A couple of statements that came out between Sunday and tonight. One was with the Rangers Fan Advisory Board, again about the refereeing performance on Sunday, and then we've got the actual Rangers statement about it. The worrying thing for me, I'll get your thoughts on this, Stevie, as well, is that the Rangers Fan Advisory Board went for it and Rangers didn't. What we actually did, if you look at the statement we released after the League Cup final last year, is we copied and pasted the same statement for last year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nothing's changed.
I think the fan advisory board fired shots. The actual official club statement was just kind of well, we've made a complaint and they've given us a reason and we're not happy
We asked,
about it. All
we
right, but
asked
you're not
about
happy
it
about it. What are you going to do
they
about it?
fobbed us off. Sorry. At least we've asked.
Yeah. What exactly are you going to do about that? Whereas the fan advisory board were like, here's what needs to be done, get it done, you know, and it shouldn't be a fan advisory board doing that. The club should be doing that.
Aye.
Because you can just imagine Patrick Stewart getting into that meeting with the SFA and going, we want to know why X, Y, and Z happened, and they'll go, well, this is why it happened, and he'll go, okay, see you later.
Aye.
You
Even
know,
if the excuse is,
literally that.
oh, it was an error of judgment, it was a mistake. Why are we not pushing back and going, right, well, why are we paying for VAR in the first place then? So, or let's hear, I'm guessing that as part of this meeting, they'll hear the audio for the VAR team, right, as well. I would be questioning why that Diomande gets sent off in the game against Dundee United by Nick Walsh, and then he on-field reviewed it and still stuck with his decision, because that's dangerous. Well, that's whatever his interpretation of excessive force or whatever is, whereas somebody kicking Jack Butland in the head while he's got the ball isn't.
Yeah, exactly. Aye, especially when it's exactly the same referee.
Exactly same referee, and we said this before the game and we said it after the game. I know I had a bit of a rant as well, to be honest with you, but we allowed them to have the same, effectively almost the same team for the League Cup final last year on, and then they have another howler, and we're not absolutely kicking up everything about it.
Yeah, aye. And the thing is, though, we seem to be the only ones that do kick up anything, even remotely close to it. Other teams only doing it, so it's just going to fall on deaf ears. You know, Celtic definitely only going to do it because in most of these cases the decisions are going their way. And
was it something that 20 odd decisions last year or whatever, 6 of them or 5 or 6 of them went against us, and that was most of any singular club?
And that, aye, so these were all like, was it 20? I can't remember the exact figure, but anyway, out of them, there was X amount that were wrong decisions, and we were the one that suffered the most because of them more than any other team in the league. So it kind of, I think I said this on Sunday. VAR is not a problem for me. It's idiots that are using it.
Aye,
You
it's
know,
the
because
people.
clearly,
It's the ineptitude of the people that are using it, mate. I agree with you.
yeah. And you look at Sunday's going to be a laugh. You know, Matthew McDermott, the referee, and Kevin Clancy on VAR. That's going to be some buzz. That so as Matthew McDermott. Do you remember? Was it last season away to St Johnstone? He doesn't give us 2 penalties, and both times he has to go to VAR to give the penalties. And you're like, mate, those. I'm sitting
Stone
watching
walls
these
as well.
on the telly.
Yeah.
I can see that they're Stonewall penalties.
Yeah, Stonewalls
And I'm
as
not
well.
just saying that because I'm a Rangers fan. In fact, there'd been any other game involving any other 2 teams you back, those are penalties.
Looking
Why
for an
are you not
excuse
giving
not
them?
to give them. That's exactly what it is.
And it's not even just that. He's scared to give the decision. And you're like, mate, you don't have a choice. It's a foul. Give the decision. You know, it's so frustrating. And I suppose the question you would have to ask there is, if that was Celtic, would they do the same thing? History shows probably no.
Well, I mean, look at it, to be honest with you, and I'm not saying that this is what Danny Rule should come up with, and I know that he doesn't. He specifically says he's not going to comment on referees and stuff like that post games, but look at the state that Rodgers got himself into talking about John Beaton in a pre-match press conference at one point last season.
Yeah, what was it he called him again? He said something about him. I can't remember the exact wording he used, but he said something, and you're just like, you can't say that about a referee.
No, he absolutely piled the pressure onto him.
And you might be right with what you're saying, but you absolutely can't go on to Sky Sports and say that. You just can't do it. You know, we're kind of getting something, some kind of reprimand about it, but it shows that it works. You know, it works, and it works in the kind of higher profile games. So while I can see Danny Rule's point, I think we just need to, as a club, we need to start being a bit more fighting fire.
Yeah, highlight it when it happens. Make it really public as well, because the more public you make it, the more embarrassing it is for them.
Yeah. exactly. But look, nothing's going to change because this has been going on for years,
Aye,
to
for
not
how
just to
long?
us, to all teams. It's been happening to all teams, and it isn't going to change, especially with that idiot Willie Collum in charge of refereeing.
Nope, probably not, mate. Probably not. Well, so we've got half an hour, so let's say we do a couple of minutes on the weekend's game then, and then we can wrap it up there. So we're away to Dens Park on Sunday for Dundee.
Yep.
Well, this was the run of fixtures that we were talking about coming into the winnable games, the Motherwell, the Dundee, the Falkirk, the games that we should have won the first time round. But then again, recent results would say that going to Dundee and getting a result isn't probably the easiest.
No, but look, I mean, you have to kind of try and take the positives as far as league form goes. We've won our last two, so you kind of have to hope that we've turned a corner there. I suppose my biggest concern is where are the goals coming from? I don't
Aye.
see any evidence to suggest that there's goals coming, because it's not like, I mean, even that Hibs game that we did win, it's not like we are peppering goals, with
No.
shots and just can't score, and keepers are having 10 out of 10 games and all the rest of it.
And one of the
It's
Kelly
not that at
ones
all.
was a fluke, as it is. So,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know two of them were offside against Kilmarnock. I suppose you have to take a positive for hitting the net 5 times there, as much
aye.
as two of them were offside. But it's tough. It's one of these ones where you have to hope, league-wise, we've turned a corner, because we've got you're coming into that winter period where that's where titles are won and lost. It'll be interesting
And,
to see how Hearts get on during this period. If they come out of this and get to the other side of winter with their lead intact, you have to kind of take them seriously.
aye. And then you
Not
looking
that
at
we
for us,
aren't
for your,
already, but
aye, for your perspective, for your point of view, we need to be looking at going into the next international window on some kind of high, because we've not done that the last two times, really.
no, we've not.
So we need to be looking at going into getting winning the next couple of league games, getting a couple of points, hoping that results go in our favour elsewhere, and we can claw some points back, and then having that international break for the manager to spend a bit of time with the players. I do note that he'd mentioned, I can't remember if it was the post match to this tonight, where he'd basically said that he was asked if we needed any business done in January, and he said we're not clinical enough at the back or up front. So basically, he's saying we need defenders and people that will score
Yeah,
goals.
I think again, I don't think Connor Barron was bad tonight. Raskin's kind of Raskin these days, and he's just kind of seems to be kind of coasting through games without actually doing anything of note. But yeah, I would tend to agree with that assessment. We need a goal scorer, an out and out, somebody that knows where the back of the net is. We need one of the three we've got now to start firing. The problem with the strikers is you've got three of them. Two of them that you've just brought in, are you in theory going to get rid of one? You can't have four strikers on the books when you're only playing one up front. You
No.
just can't. That's, can you imagine Rule going to Stelwell or whoever happens to be running it at that point in time and going, I need a striker. But
Aye.
anybody who's above him is going to go, well, you've got three there. You're going to have to lose at least one of them if you want to bring one in.
And
And who's going to want to take them?
No.
Nobody's going to want to take Danilo, who, yes, can score goals but can never stay fit. An amateur team's not going to take Chermiti and Miovski. I still maintain he'll hit a run at some point. He has to hit a run, because that's what I'm seeing for Miovski now, isn't the player that we watched terrorise league defences for Aberdeen.
No.
It's
And I want
no
to
the
see him
same.
start on Sunday, to be honest.
Yeah, I want to see him start as well. And then defence-wise, we've touched on the back four as much as they can go. Yeah, you've got plenty of defenders. I think the argument there is, look, we're going to be needing a new back four come next season, so we might as well get, if they're available, whoever he wants, can we get them in early and get them bedded in so that they're set to go come the summer. Yeah, we need, and again, we touch on this nearly everyone. We need that destroyer. We need for the middle of the park. It's just no nonsense. Wins tackles, recycles the ball. Nothing fancy, but does the dirty work for you.
Well, we can add that to the long list of things that we need for this squad in the next transfer window, which is looking, and it's historically January is not the best window to be doing a lot of business in, because not a lot of teams want to lose players unless we've got a few people that we can get pre-contract signed for and then agree deals to bring them in early, but depends what kind of business we're looking at doing anyway.
Yeah, aye, and we've got previous for not bringing in real quality in January. You know, Aaron Ramsey and all the rest of it. We did bring
Fabio Silva as well.
Fabio Silva. It's funny how people like Fabio Silva and Amad Diallo are up here, and you're just like, there's nothing there, and now they're flying. You know,
watching Chermiti tonight, mate, honest to God, I was looking, going, he is like a worse version of Fabio Silva than we had.
Yeah, aye. Reminds me of Umar Sadiq. You know, he just kind of runs about like a headless chicken, but has absolutely no quality whatsoever.
Another player that went on to be better after he left us, to be honest.
Yeah. Aye, absolutely.
Right, well, I'll take a just in case we don't manage to get a pre-match for Dundee, or we might manage to get one in, but just, I know sometimes it can be a struggle with timing wise and stuff. Will we take a wee prediction for the score and for Sunday, just in case?
Yeah, I can do. I don't really know what we're going to see here, to be honest with you. It wouldn't surprise me to see a scoring draw. I'm going to stick my neck out and I'll go for a 2-2 draw. Being realistic, obviously I want a Rangers win, but I think we they're always hard games up there for us at Dens. I mean, we drew 0-0 last season, and then it took Dessers scoring in the last minute to win. Was it 4-3 we won?
It was that the game he had 11 chances before he scored?
Aye, and again, the one he scored, I'm sure I've said this a couple of weeks ago as well, the one he scored was the hardest one of the lot. Yeah, so I'm going to I'll take a 2-2 draw, I think. Get out of there with a point. Because even look, as much as we go, there are not any great shakes and all the rest of it, you look how much Celtic struggled up there a couple of weeks ago. And I know that was under Rodgers and all the rest of it, but they are ahead of us in the league. So, yeah, I'll take a 2-2 draw.
2-2 draw for Stevie. I will say I'm going to go 2-1. I think we'll scrape it, to be honest. I think we need to see something. And I'm thinking we might... I don't think it will be a comfortable win, to be honest. I think it will be another one where we probably don't look great, but we manage to get the result with any luck. Yeah. As I said, we might still manage to get a preview, pod in when Williams back. I know he's back tomorrow, so he might fancy getting into one, maybe even Friday night or Saturday, maybe. But we'll see. I thought we'd just get a prediction just in case we don't manage it. But well, thanks for joining us again, folks. We'll call it there. We've done 40 minutes, which is probably 40 minutes longer than this team deserved tonight, to be honest with you. But here we are. We'll be back at the weekend or before if we manage to get a preview pod in. So thanks everybody for listening, viewing, all the interactions and stuff. It's all appreciated. Cheers to William for being here in spirit, but he'll be back on the next one. And I've had to stand in for him at short notice, but that's fine. We'll manage.
Can I just, before we go, can I just say a massive thanks to all the Celtic fans in the comments of the last YouTube video. It's nice to see you watching, so thanks a lot, guys.
Aye, that's it. Thanks for the interactions and stuff, you know.
But no, on a serious note, to everybody that's been listening on Spotify, watching on YouTube or whatever, massive thanks. It's greatly appreciated.
Aye, we're routinely doing 200-300 views a video, which is pretty good considering we've only just started this, and we will get better at it as well as we go. So
I mean, when you consider we spend a lot of the time just moaning and ranting, that's not too
pretty
bad.
much recently, yeah. It's catharsis, I think, at this point.
Hopefully things take an upturn and gives a wee bit more positivity to talk about.
One can only hope, mate. One can only hope. Right, folks, we will catch you at the weekend. Thank you for tuning in and have a good one. See you later.
Cheers, folks.